Well, we're on the road for this episode. We're at Lords today in the beautiful, beautiful sunshine.
And you can probably just hear the hum behind us there of a roller. There's about 4 groundsmen out. Apparently this is an all-year-round job, although I'm sure it's much more enjoyable on a day like today. It is one of the iconic sporting venues in the world.
It is. We're sitting in front of the pavilion where the MCC, we'd never be allowed here normally, where the MCC members sit on the white seats. I do have a little bit of PTSD here, some bad memories here. I've been here twice with Manchester Originals men's team when we've lost the final, so been in those dressing rooms to have to console the players. Also, after one of those defeats, somebody thought I was Nick Knowles, so those
that'll give you more PTSD. I've only ever been in there to host charity events. In fact, I'm in there next week hosting a charity sports quiz, but never actually sat.
You don't like to talk about your charity work?
No, only on podcasts. I've never actually sat on these seats though before.
This is I don't think I'm ever likely to be offered MCC membership, but what a lovely way to watch sport this is.
A lovely way to while away a summer's day. And we are here because Mark has been involved in the launch of the 2026 Women's T20 Cricket World Cup, which will be hosted in England and Wales, and the final will be here at Lords. And of course, we know what a homegrown championship can do for the growth of sport with the Lionesses' big win in 2022.
And before we even get to the 2026 Women's T20 Cricket World Cup, we've got a Women's Rugby Union World Cup as well. So we're going to combine those two events today. We've got World Player of the Year as far as Rugby Union is concerned, Ellie Kildunne with us, and also England Women's Cricket new head coach Charlotte Edwards.
So how will cricket capitalise on this massive opportunity?
Welcome to the Sports Agents.
Hello, Mark.
Hello, Gabby.
Thanks for getting us down here today.
No problem at all. No problem.
And seeing you in a jacket as well. I mean, I thought it was a World Cup final. That was the only time you'd bring a jacket
we're
out.
Actually quite
Is this your new match of the day look?
I'm not planning on having a new match of the day look.
We need to talk about that.
Oh.
Right, last
Do
night.
I need a new match of the day? Yeah, no, I'll take that as a yes.
Last night, maybe off record. Last night, Champions League highlights you were doing up in Salford. I was doing Arsenal the night before. Yeah. You had an absolute ding dong, didn't you?
There were so many stats flying around. It was the first time in 24 years that 4 goals had been scored in the first half of a men's Champions League semi-final. It was absolutely blistering, the start that they had last night. And Barcelona are just the great entertainers of Europe because they can't defend.
Oh, they remind me of 90s Newcastle.
Yeah, they are. Their line is so high, they can't defend. I think they've scored something like 158 goals or something under Hansi Flick since he's been in charge. They are brilliant. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and obviously Arsenal, not quite so entertaining the night before.
But they're not out of it, are they?
They are not out of it. They go to Paris next week, so we're only halfway through that one. But we are complete when it comes to knowing who the WSL champions are. Chelsea have done it again. We spoke about seamless handovers, didn't we, with Klopp and Slot, and it's happened with Chelsea. Sonia Bonpastor, but as we've discussed on the podcast, really just wants to win the Champions League. That's what Chelsea are after. So I was listening to some of the quotes from the players and listening to the radio this morning, and they're kind of saying how happy they are, but you kind of know it's slightly tinged, isn't it, this season for them, I think. Yeah,
because of that walloping by Barcelona, really. I mean, the other thing is they could go unbeaten as well. I mean, that is on top of the title for a coach in their first year. That's
I think that would be the first time in the fully professional era as well that would have happened. There's one other sport I just want to quickly dip into because Ronnie O'Sullivan has made the semi-finals of the World Championships at the Crucible, having told us for the last few weeks that he's playing rubbish, he's terrible, he's not interested. And I read this morning that he's doing it with an unfamiliar cue because he smashed his cue just ahead of the championships. And there's a man called John Paris who makes cues for people like Stephen Hendry, and he's made cues for Ronnie over the years as well. And he was tasked with getting Ronnie a cue in like double quick time for this. He couldn't fell a tree in time, so he had to get something kind of already made. And Ronnie has done nothing but moan about this cue all the way through the championship, which clearly is becoming a lucky cue, I think. But what I learned is he is currently looking for a tree to cut down for Ronnie for a new cue because birch trees apparently are pretty good, and he will have his cue made from a specific tree, and this cue obviously will then be made just for Ronnie. So at the moment Ronnie is playing with something that's not specific to him. Did you know that cues were that bespoke?
I didn't know that they were that bespoke. I'm assuming that means that isn't going to be made in time for the semi-final or the final.
No, he'll moan all the way to the final. Yeah.
Right, he'll moan all the way to No, well, I didn't know they were that bespoke. I knew how personal a cue was to a snooker player. The other thing, I didn't know we were going to talk about it, but because I've watched a lot of snooker, as you know, to avoid football recently. The other thing is, there are very different types of chalk now.
I didn't know this.
Most of the players... Are you still listening? Most of the players now use a new type of chalk, but a couple of them use an old type. Luca Brissell is one of those. He's just been knocked out, a former world champion. But that old chalk can provoke more kicks on the white ball and therefore more problems for the opponent. So there are not only do you have the bespoke cues, but there are different types of chalk as well.
And it got me thinking about other sports where bits of equipment, because tennis players have tons of rackets, don't they? And they have tons of trainers, and they don't seem to have any kind of personal attachment to any particular racket. They can't do because they go through so many. When Kenny was kicking in his rugby career, there were certain tees he really liked because the ball was easy to place, and he had a favourite
so the
kicking
tees
tee.
Are different.
Yeah, he had a favourite kicking tee, which I would have thought they were also quite generic, really. And then you wonder whether it becomes a bit more superstitious as well, rather than it being technically, kind of something. Because players, obviously, football players go through boots like nobody's business, don't they? And don't have any. Although we do hear managers complaining about balls. Arteta was complaining about balls.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can get in touch with us on that if you play a certain sport and have
your superstition.
Your superstition to a piece of equipment. And you can catch up with all episodes of The Sports Agents on Global Player or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe or follow, and don't forget to rate and review. So we're on a balcony at Lord's in the most glorious sunshine. I'm stood next to England's new head coach, Charlotte Edwards, and
me.
Mike Chapman, who I didn't recognise because he's wearing a suit today because he was moonlighting and doing a little bit of work for the ECB. It was for the ECB.
I dress up for Charlotte in the ECB. With you, I just put on a jumper and some shorts.
It's nice to see you can make the effort. And it was an event to launch the World Cup next year, which is very, very exciting. And also some other initiatives, which we're going to get into, hopefully, as well.
Yeah.
But Charlotte, for you, this is kind of your first big event, isn't it, since you got the role?
Yeah, an exciting event. I mean, when I took on the role, when I saw what was ahead, there was a 50-over World Cup in 6 months and a home World Cup in 12 months. That's excitement beyond belief, really. So, I'm really excited. And I guess today is the starting point, and we know where the venues are now, and the final here on the 5th of July next year, which is incredibly exciting.
Did you even have to think about it?
No, I didn't. To be fair, it's always been an ambition. It felt the right time for me. I've done many things since I've stopped playing, and the time just felt really right for me.
And I've heard you say already that you didn't have to think about who your captain was going to be either.
No, not really. I think, I've worked with Nat over the last 3 years at Mumbai Indians in the WPL. We've formed a really good relationship, and as I know, as being captain, having that strong relationship with your coach is really important. And I felt like it's the right time in her career. She wants to do it as well, which is always a plus point. And, she's got huge respect amongst the game, but also amongst the players, and she leads from the front.
So what do you want from Nat Sciver-Brunt as your captain? And are there many different things? Obviously, you talk about the captain-coach relationship, but then what do you want from her within the group? I
think how Nat is as well, she's quite quiet, unassuming at times. But I think she's going to be really collaborative in terms of we've got a lot of younger players, good younger players come through, and hopefully she's going to really help those players on the biggest stage, because she is really calm. She does lead from the front, and she will do things differently, and that's absolutely fine. And I want her to do it her way because I think it's really important. But she will have all the support in the world from all the coaching staff, and hopefully, those big scores and, the wickets she takes are going to still continue because, I know she will, because she loves the big stage, and she's the best player in the world.
Was there, do you think, an element of taking over this team at this time that is particularly attractive? We've been talking a lot this week about seamless transitions. We talked about Klopp to Arne Slot. Last night, Chelsea won the WSL again, and Sonia Bonpastor obviously taking over a great team. You've taken over a team that had a terrible Ashes series and much criticism about fitness and other things within that squad. Yeah. Does it feel the only way is up? Is that the perfect time to take over a team?
It does feel that way for me, because I think I've been in the system for 5 years now, and I kind of, I've followed the team so closely because I love English cricket and I care so much. So I kind of knew what I was taking on, and I knew it was a really talented group. They performed not anywhere near their best in the winter. So I wouldn't be doing this job if I didn't think we could win a World Cup in 6 months and in 12 months' time. And I feel like we've got the team. It's not a reset, it's a rebuild. I think we've just got to, just tinker with a few things. And I'm already seeing progress, which I'm, really happy about. And pick the team in a couple of weeks' times, and hopefully we'll hit the ground running come, May the 21st.
So what progress have you been able to see already then? And also, when you were watching what was going on in the winter, what were you thinking was going wrong?
I think I saw a real lack of confidence. Australia's the hardest place to go. When they lost the second one that day, which they should have won, you really felt like the team was it took a bit of a nosedive, if I'm honest, and it looked like hard for them to bring the momentum back. So, I saw a lack of confidence. I saw players, I guess, lacking form and a collective lack of form, which is never good. And then by the end, it was really hard to watch, dropping catches. And then all the kind of media scrutiny around fitness, around form. I think it was a real eye-opener for the players. Having spoke to them since I've got back, I think they've learnt so much from it.
Was that a good thing? Because this conference that we've just been doing here, there's everybody from Google execs to people in broadcast to some of the players, Gabby, have been in there. And one of the ideas looking forward to the 2026 World Cup and what's been a positive for English cricket was, and we've talked about this before, the criticism of the England women's team for their performance in the Ashes. And what I find amazing is that several of the players were sitting in there whilst that was being bandied about. Criticism, I suppose, can be positive if it's fair. Was it a good sign for you that they got that criticism?
Yeah, I think it was, because it's what we've always wanted in women's sport. And also people really care about the England women's cricket team. 10 years ago, no one would have cared if we'd have gone to Australia and we'd have lost 16-0, because no one was interested. People are genuinely interested, and this is what I've tried to say to the players. There's a lot of people that care. We've probably lost a few fans over the winter, but we'll win them back, because what we'll do is we'll be fitter, we'll be stronger, we'll play better, we'll be more engaged with the public, because that's what we need to do to drive England women's cricket forward.
It's a similar thing that happened in football, isn't it? That the players used to say, we don't want to be patronised, because there was that kind of sense early on that everything they did was great. Well done for turning up. And now you are so professional and you're expected to get results. You're expected to go to Australia and put up a big fight and not have a whitewash. So those standards are under scrutiny. Do they have a point though? Was the fitness below where it should be for professional athletes?
I don't think some of it was fair, some of it was unfair. I think it all got then taken out of context because of the performances. The confidence was lacking as well, because I've watched their fitness testing and it was of a high level, and I was actually really, really impressed. And then when I came into the job, I said I'll make my own judgments. Of course we can get better, and of course we're not probably quite as fit as Australia, but we will be by the time hopefully we next play them.
Because they seem like the easy wins, don't they? I know Leinster and Ireland Rugby talk about takes no talent standard, and fitness is one of those, isn't it? Anybody can be fit. You can have the right fitness coaches, and any team can get that level of fitness. That seems like an easy win for you to be able to restore.
Well, exactly, and that's why I thought when I came into the role, getting the team fitter is probably the easiest job on my hands. Sometimes teaching them how to play the game, but equally I think us having a framework to play to now, a strategy that I think will be more consistent for this team, I think will then hopefully give the team more confidence, and then some of the other issues that were clouding this team over the winter will go away.
So strategy and mindset then, is that across all formats? Because ever since Brendan McCullum took over the men's team, I find world cricket seems to be in some kind of permanent identity crisis of what the right style is, what the right strategy is, etc., etc. Where are you at?
Well,
and by the way, that's not just England teams. It's every internet. Brendan McCullum's done this. Are we going to play like that? Are we not going to play like that?
Our strategy is going to be to win, and I think, and that's what I want to talk to the players around. And winning looks like very different on different days, and that's what I want the players to be, is more intelligent about how they play the game. I don't want them to stop being aggressive. I certainly don't want that. I want us to play an exciting style of cricket, but I want us to be really smart, and I think if we do that, we'll be a really consistent team, and I think we'll really push people and push Australia, because we're not far off. We're not, because those games in the Ashes, the first 2 could have went either way had we have been, I think, a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
Can we talk about today a little bit? Because you've got Vanessa Williams, who's in the West End in The Devil Wears Prada. You've
Two
got
big Showbiz names, haven't me and Vanessa, yeah.
Mark Chapman. You've got Malala Yousaf here. You've got Ellie Kildunne, the England World Player of the Year, rugby player, which is, in itself, mixing all those kinds of different areas here today feels very innovative. And we often talk about women's sport having an opportunity to be innovative and decide what it wants its future to look like. And you've come into this job at a time when clearly the ECB have got some fresh ideas about how you spread the word of the game.
Yeah, I mean, today's been so good. Listening to that panel, like you said, it
Yeah.
probably could have went on for an hour and a half, because I think there was just so many important points, but the same points across sort of different worlds, really, I guess. And I think that's what. And I'm so glad some of the players were in the room, because I was so inspired by listening to that. And I think I don't think we do that enough. I don't think we go outside of our sport enough to actually talk to people and get different, thoughts on everything. So yeah, it's been
Who
a really.
inspires you outside of cricket?
Who inspires me outside of cricket? My mum. But your family do, don't they?
Yeah.
And I think that's what the panellists said. Their family inspire them, because I wouldn't be where I am today without that support and care. And that's what I want to, I guess, give to players now. Is you kind of, I don't want to say this, you're like a motherly figure, aren't you, in many ways as a coach? But yeah, I mean.
But the best coaches are. The best coaches are the mother, father, grandmother, grandfather figure who have the ability to love and the ability to shout at them.
Well,
without giving insight into my own parenting, but that is it, isn't it?
It is. It's tough love, isn't it? And that's what someone said to me when I came into the role. I think you'll get tough love from Charlotte, and I think I will. I'll absolutely support these players 100%. But equally, I'll be honest with them when I think we need to improve, or they need to improve in individuals.
I mean, and you talk about a mother figure as well. Vanessa Williams talked about her mother giving birth to her in 1963.
She remembers that.
Yeah, but in the middle of the American Civil Rights movement.
Yeah.
And then she talked about, America coming full circle and where we're at now with the political side of America. But then you have Malala talking about the fight, as we've covered on the podcast, the fight for Afghanistan women to be able to play cricket under the Taliban. And then you had Ellie talking about this sort of mixture of playing rugby growing up, whether it be as part of a boys team, but then the opportunities she also had to play on girls teams as well. There was just across the board a real mix, with the idea being, how can this Women's T20 World Cup next summer be the platform for the growth of women's cricket, really? Although I do think this sport got ahead in 2017. I think this sport, as England women's team sports, has always been a bit ahead of the other two. It's just the Lionesses then got all the
glory.
The England women's one-day team got the glory after 2017, but glory in cricket tends to be treated differently by some of the media.
Do you think
to
it's
glory
because
in
the
football.
men's cricket team have had more success probably on the global stage than the men's football team, and it was a trophy?
I
wasn't
think
it? It didn't matter who got it; it was a trophy.
Yeah,
and
I think it's the lack of men's football success that probably
on that, and
is the difference in the
societal
reaction.
issues and what's going on in the world today. The FA have said that trans women will not be allowed to play in women's team in football. The ECB is expected to make a similar announcement. Are they the right decisions?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, nothing changes for me. I guess it's just around the ECB now and legal advice now. So, I can't really comment on that anymore. But yeah, I'll leave it with our legal team.
So, how do you set out now the next few months?
Well, I'm selecting the team in the next couple of weeks, so I'm watching lots of county cricket at the moment.
I was going to say, you can actually watch county cricket at the moment, which is great.
I got burnt shins yesterday, which I didn't enjoy. But yeah, no, I'm watching lots of county cricket, and that's one thing. When I came into the job, I was adamant that the players needed to play more, and I think that helps them dealing with pressure, with the international stage. So they weren't playing enough, in my opinion. So now they're playing a lot more. Pick the team and then start on the 21st of May. And I'm itching, to be fair, to get out there and start coaching again, because the last month's been pretty hectic.
Well, good luck with everything, and thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you.
Obviously, thank you, Chappers, for taking yourself away from the long room over there and bringing yourself outside.
Just missed out on a nice lunch.
I think the first thing we should say is congratulations
Thank you.
on the weekends. And another win, another Six Nations, another Grand Slam for the Red Roses, albeit you off the pitch this time with a slight hamstring injury.
Yeah, slight tweak. I'm going to use this off-season as rehab and getting in the right place to be back for the pre-season, unfortunately. I was hoping they were going to say I can miss pre-season as well, but I didn't get that green light. So, yeah, I'm all good, but it was the right choice to miss the game and, you know, prep myself right for the summer.
What kind of watcher are you?
Well, apparently on TV it looked like I was on my phone a lot of the time, which I'm not.
Hanging out with Mary Earps.
Yeah, that was very cool as well. But whenever I watch rugby, I'm watching it from a lens of like analysing. I'm not watching it for entertainment as such. I'm constantly looking at the backfield, looking what would I see. You know, there was a couple of times I'd said, yeah, kick it, and then Claudia would kick it down the wing. So it's different when you're a player to someone that just spectates it.
But were you did you get nervous towards the end? No.
It's weird. So I was sat with someone who was quite nervous.
Right.
Whenever France got the ball, they were like, "Oh, where's this?" And I said, "The girls have got it. Don't worry about it."
A 1 point game when you were that calm.
Well, it wasn't 1 point at this point. We went into the changing rooms. Obviously, the pillars, so the girls that weren't involved in the game, we went to changing rooms because we were told that we can go do the walk round, whether obviously we win or lose. And I started grabbing cowboy hats to chuck on the girls to celebrate because at that point we were ahead.
I think you should explain the cowboy hat for everybody.
Yeah, so the Cowboys, honestly, it was just a group chat. But now it's got bigger, so I feel I've got to make up more than what it is. But
your origin story, bro.
Yeah, it was just a group of girls when we were out in New Zealand, and we just wanted to have a space that we could be authentically ourselves and go out on the scooters, go out for ice cream, and it was just a way of making sure no one was left out. And then we decided, we'll start doing a celebration, have a bit of fun with it. And then it just so happened we actually ended up scoring loads of tries, so everyone saw the celebration. And then I guess in sport, in rugby's, you know, it's dying for personality, and it's something that's a little bit different. And you see it in football, and the celebrations are everywhere. You see Cole Palmer, everyone loves it. But in rugby, you don't really see it that much. So the fact that we stepped out of the norm and started doing that. Now I've got a podcast called Rugby Rodeo, and
well, I mean the cowboy hats, Mark.
The
cowboy
cowboy
were being
hats.
sold at Twickenham at the Allianz.
Yeah.
I think we decided. Sarah Orchard kind of did a little bit of research, and it's the first ever piece of women-only specific merchandise. So the RFU
cool.
have kind of gone and created.
They've
those.
seen the opportunity definitely because I mean you come to games and everyone's got cowboy hats on. Now whether that's because of Taylor Swift or if it is because of
you'll take it.
I don't know. I know what I'm claiming.
I think it's more you. Do you think celebrations are frowned upon then?
I think they're probably more frowned upon in the men's game than the women's game. I think
Henry Pollock's giving it a go, isn't he?
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, there's loads of people that love it. The traditional rugby fans probably don't like it because the rugby has been written for years and years, and it seems to be stuck in the past, in my opinion. However, in the women's game, we've got the opportunity to take it somewhere that it's not been before. We can rewrite. We're not trying to follow in the men's footsteps. There's no point trying to do that. So I don't think it's frowned upon in the women's game. You know, I want girls to be doing more celebrations, and you start seeing little ones. But the fact that some of the boys are now doing celebrations, I'm here for it. And if you actually look at some of the interviews that they've done, they've actually said the same thing, that everyone's saying rugby needs more personality. You show it. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it.
It's just an expression of joy, isn't it? I mean, you are right though. The perception in men's rugby is that you
don't put your head above the parapet.
You score a try,
shake someone's hand.
Good try, sir, and head back.
At the end of the day, we're entertaining, and as much as we're a sport, we're on TV, people coming to watch. It's an entertainment business, and people want to be entertained. So, the fact that you score and you do a bit of celebration, that's the thing that kids will start doing when they come away from when they score a try in school. They want something that they can latch on to, and with us it is a little cowboy celebration. But I think there's now a window for people to really get creative with it. It's building their own brand, and it's also taking the sport into more entertaining places.
The Sarah Byrne TikTok celebration that went a bit mad after that Wales game, and she's known for dancing with the crowd and all that. Were you guys internally surprised at how much heat, how many column inches, how much debate? I mean, I think the Rugby Weekly podcast started its episode talking about that week.
I wasn't surprised. I think you see it not just with celebrations, not just with dances, whatever we do. Some, like I said, some people are going to like it, some people are not going to like it because it's something a little bit different. So I wasn't surprised that there was heat on it, but you know, all press is good press. It doesn't matter if someone's got something to say about it, because they're going to have something to say about anything.
Is that the case if you keep delivering? Do you think if England weren't so dominant on a 25-match, unbeaten run, heading towards a World Cup that you're favourites for, does that give you more confidence to be able to do that?
Potentially, but I wouldn't know otherwise, because we are successful. So I wouldn't know if we were a team that was losing and still doing these dances, because we haven't been in that position, which is fortunate. And I'm sure we'll learn some lessons along the way if we don't play well and that still happens. But we're not in that place yet. So I'm just for just trying it and, just take it in your stride. We're going to learn so much, and we might as well enjoy it. Rugby is not going to last forever, and you don't want to come to the end of your career or the end of a campaign and think, oh, if I did this, would this have happened? Everything, just enjoy it. Be where your feet are and just try things, because you've got nothing to lose.
You, when we were doing that conference before, your final answer about the World Cup final was proper goosebump. It was about having fire in her belly, but pouring petrol on that fire. That's how stoked she is ahead of a World Cup final. So have you always been like that? Does the current dominance of this England women's team give you even greater confidence?
No, I mean, going into the last World Cup, we were in the same position, a long run of being undefeated, and you need to have confidence going into games, and if you lack confidence, you make mistakes. So, it doesn't matter if it's England or if it's Brazil. They're going to have confidence that they can be the team that can win it. Otherwise, there's no point competing in the first place. You need to have that hunger. I guess the difference this time around to last time is culturally we're in such a better place as a team, and credit to John Mitchell and the rest of the coaching staff that have come in and really nurtured a culture to want to win, but want to win and want to do well for the people that are around you. And that doesn't mean just the people on the pitch. That is the wider staff, the wider group, the families. We have a saying, and it's do it for the girls. And seriously, that is take it as you please. It can be the girls that came before us, the girls that are coming next, the girls that are in the team. And when you've got that, that extra bit of petrol that you can just add on, it fuels something that you didn't know was there. And yeah, we're in a good place to see what we can do in this World Cup. Have no expectations, because everyone wants to beat England. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. No one wants England to win. But at the same time, we're in a place that we're doing it for each other. You are doing it for yourself, you are doing it for the silverware, but you're doing it because you love it, and we deserve this. People are going to say, of course, England are going to win, but who knows? We didn't win.
I think that game at the weekend shows,
it's close.
Just
it's entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. And people want to be entertained, don't they? I think there was also this kind of feeling going through the tournament that this Six Nations now has become so predictable because England keep winning and winning by some margins as well, and that's not your fault. That's for everybody else to catch up. And other ideas have been mooted about having tiered systems, and I guess this is not a question for you really, because you're not going to suggest another way of playing the Six Nations, are you? You're quite happy the way things are. But the World Cup, I guess, is an opportunity for people to see more competitive rugby, because the matchups in the groups are going to be different, aren't they? Canada are going to think they've got a chance. New Zealand obviously will be potentially your main protagonists.
Yeah, of course, and everyone shows up for a World Cup. It doesn't matter that we beat New Zealand every time since the last World Cup, because we beat them every time before the last World Cup as well. So everyone shows up for a World Cup, and you get different coaching staff in, a little bit more funding, because that is the moment. I've spoken to a few of the Canadian girls, and the potential that they've got if they do well, and how that can change sport in Canada and rugby in Canada is huge. So everyone's going to find that extra little thing that's going to push them to want to do better. But I like the Six Nations as it is. I don't want it to become more complicated. I think you don't need to change the system. You need to change the funding into the other teams so that it can get better.
Well, Ireland this time, they put a good challenge up to England, didn't they, in Cork in the first half, and they seem to be getting better results. Got beaten by Scotland on the last day, so there is competition amongst the other teams that's been a bit more unpredictable, hasn't it? As World Player of the Year, going into this year, did anything change in your kind of mental attitude towards your belief and what you can achieve at a World Cup? Is being the player of the tournament something that you strive for, like getting a Ballon d'Or would be for a young footballer?
I never really think individually. It's not necessarily about me, and I think especially being in the position that I play, I am on the end of a lot of passes. I'm not doing it all myself, unless it's a long 50-meter run. Unless it's a long 50-meter run from someone kicking it, but. I'm part of a very good team that play well and put me in spaces and they suck people in. I end up being on the end of something. But I really enjoy the pressure of being potentially that person, because it makes my game easier when people want to come tackle me.
I was going to say, you like the pressure of being targeted.
Yeah, I like that, because then I know I've got to change my game up a little bit. I mean, you probably saw when we played against Scotland, I kicked a lot more than I did run, because put a lot of pressure on me. But if I was to play the game this weekend, which obviously I missed, France might think I'm going to kick it more, so I'll run it more. So I really like, it's like playing a game of chess, and how can you work out your next move, and what can people predict from you. But I just want to exceed people's expectations every single time I play, and show them, rugby can be played in a different way, and we are going to keep on getting better. We're not going to slow down. I'm not going to slow down. And when I got that the award, it was incredible. Obviously, I'm hugely honoured to get an award like that. But I was like, not yet. So I'm not at my best yet, so I don't want it
You
yet.
can win it multiple times,
wow.
and we certainly hope you do with that kind of talk.
And you are going to slow down if we don't let you go, because you need to go and have a scan day.
I
So
do.
we need to go. We need to
Thank
let you
so
go.
much
It's been
for,
brilliant.
for
No,
joining
thank
us.
you guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
And, can't wait. August 22nd, England's first game.
I'm glad you know the date, because I don't. I'm just in off season now.
You're
so-
going to Sunderland. First game's in Sunderland.
Gabby doesn't have an off season. That's why she knows. And finally, because we're here at Lord's, we'll tell you about one of the most astonishing cricket stories I can remember in many a year. More on that next. So this is Vaibhav Suryavanshi, who is 14 years old and has been picked up by the Rajasthan Royals in the IPL, so in the Indian Premier League. He's had a decent start up until Monday, and then on Monday he went absolutely stratospheric as he hit 100 off just 35 balls. I think he ended up out for 101 off 38 balls, and he hit 11 sixes in that innings. And he is not he's not a massive 14er. It's not like he's 6'5". But his timing is beautiful, and he already has a back catalogue, that if you call it that, at 14. He's played for the Indian under-19s and scored a century against the Australian under-19s. It was, honestly, I know we can be hyperbolic at times, but I can't think of seeing anything like that in cricket.
In world sport, because I
world
noticed
sport.
a lot of people trying to draw comparisons with, Pele and other sports stars who've gone on to carry on being global superstars from an early age of promise, and not even promise, showing, absolute exemplary standards of their sport. And is the perceived wisdom in cricket then that he is obviously the real deal, and this is potentially a 20-year career he's got ahead of him?
Yeah, at the very least. And yes, I think so, because of what I said about about what he'd already done for the Indian under-19s, and actually he'd started playing senior men's regional cricket at the age of 12. So he has been.
So does he not go to school?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm not sure if I was hitting 100 in the IPL.
You'd be that interested in conjugating verbs.
Look, you're all right, mate. I'll just keep going with my cricket career. But look, they have obviously within Indian cricket, they crave a superstar in every generation, and it could be from Sachin Tendulkar to MS Dhoni to Virat Kohli, and then they become these superstar idols, and you already feel, without putting too much pressure on him, that he's on that trajectory to being one of Indian cricket's great superstars. I mean, the other thing as well we have to remember is it's not like playing in front of 15 people and a dog, the IPL. This is like, these games are rammed, and billions watching on television. and he has gone out there without a care in the world.
Have the videos surfaced yet of him as a 2-year-old in his nappy?
I haven't
hitting,
seen that. I haven't
you know,
seen
the Tiger Woods style videos and all the Rory McIlroy ones that kind of, you know,
Yeah.
after he won the Masters, we saw him as a kid. Yeah.
Into the washing machine.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen them, but I mean, who knows? Who knows? But he is. And again, you're wary because you don't want everything to burn out at 16 or 17. But on current evidence, he's, as you say, he's going to have a 20, 25-year
I
career.
mean, he will, as well being an Indian global superstar, he will make so much money.
Absolutely.
If that's important to you.
And if you do one thing after listening to this, if you haven't done it, go and watch the highlights of his innings because it is breathtaking.
Okay, get in touch with us on socials or via email at thesportsagents@global.com.
Catch up with all the episodes of The Sports Agents on Global Player or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe or follow, and please leave us a review.
Thanks for listening.
The Sports Agents
with Gabby Logan and Mark Chapman.